Hello.
Hi. It's great to see you again. And since you're a very businessman in the world now,
Businessman. Yeah, I often just think about myself as a engineer, but yeah.
헤이 플렉스, 퍼플렉시티에 대해 소개해봐.
Galaxy AI already helps you summarize, but now, starting with the Galaxy S26 series, the all-new Samsung browser is partnering with Perplexity.
in Korea, there has been immense curiosity about Perplexity's next move, and now your engine has officially arrived on our Samsung smartphones on the Galaxy S26. What was the strategic vision behind this partnership, and what is your ultimate goal for this collaboration?
Samsung is the world's largest Android OEM. Actually, the world's largest OEM. They understand something that most phone makers don't yet, which is users don't want one AI. Users want the right AI for each moment. Some AIs are really good for writing. Some AIs are really good for analysis and research. Some AIs are great for multimodal, like image generation or image analysis, video analysis. So rather than focusing on one single model for everybody, Samsung has built a multi-agent ecosystem. And so the partnership goes beyond just the fact that Perplexity is being pre-installed on hundreds of millions of Samsung devices. It is the fact that Perplexity is embedded at a system level. And they've also revamped their native AI assistant Bixby, which is running on Perplexity's API behind the scenes. So our infrastructure that is world-class at accuracy and orchestration is what powers Bixby, because Samsung rightly realizes that what matters to the user is accurate AI, and Perplexity is best in class for that. So whenever the user says, "Hi Bixby," Perplexity is doing the hard work underneath.
Between Samsung and Perplexity, who made the first move?
I think it happened organically as we were beginning to talk about a collaboration.
Customers can choose between Gemini and Bixby or Plex in Galaxy S26, right? And what's the strength of Hey Plex compared to other players?
Because Perplexity is not having system level access. It gives access to all the Samsung native apps. So you can go control your calendar, your notes, and all these different things that you would use for quick, fast, agentic use cases. You just want to you don't even have to open the app. You don't even have to unlock your phone. You can just voice activate your assistant and start delegating tasks. So that makes the interaction a lot more seamless and more native, more intuitive, because it just feels like you're talking to your assistant.
The Koreans are always making like Uber taxi, Kakao taxi, and you can just say, "Hey Plex."
That's right. Just like how if you would ping your team member on a chat window, "Hey, can you take care of this?" It's not like they instantly said, "Yes, done." They're like, acknowledge it, and then they go and do some work on it for a while, and then they come back to you and say it's done. That is agentic AI. So it's going to be a pretty phenomenal experience where you can just make it a new habit. You can just speak to your phone and start delegating tasks, which is very powerful.
New era of mobile intelligence.
And And Korea is a unique market with a sharp divide in AI literacy. And while power users are all about talking agentic AI, many others still quite new to it. So given this gap, what is your specific localization strategy for Korea, and how do you plan to compete with deeply rooted local giants like Naver and Kakao?
The competition in Korea is world class. Our strategy isn't to replace Naver or Kakao. These are great companies. We're not going to build a Korean map service or a taxi service or a messaging app. We're not going to do all these things. When we look at our competitive set, who's our competitor? Our eyes are always on Google. Our strategy is to be the best knowledge layer available. So Korea is actually a very ideal market for us. Korea as a country was the first to adopt the most powerful modes of the internet. And in fact, I believe it has the fastest internet available right now on the planet. So that's the kind of users Perplexity appeals to, the curious people who want to take what they learned and go like fire up a bunch of agents to like go do stuff for them. So this is very different use cases to what Kakao or Naver serve. And so we'll be able to coexist and in fact collaborate with them. And our hope is Korean users use Perplexity more than Google.
How is Perplexity Computer different from Comet, your previous agent model, like you launched last year? And does this expansion imply that Perplexity is now prioritizing agentic AI over traditional LLM-based search engine?
So Comet's a web browser, but Comet is not just yet another browser. It has an AI agent natively there. It's called the Comet Assistant. So we were already working on agents even when we were working on Comet. It's a browser agent. And most of the useful tasks that people do online that they get paid for is usually done on a browser. So therefore, it's a very useful subset of tasks to focus on. And it's a very powerful way to get more out of the web and get more done. Computer goes a level above that. Computer is more an orchestrator of any tool that's digital. Think about it. Anything you do as a person that you do for knowledge work, you're doing it on a computer yourself. And what do you really need to do your work? You need certain apps, you need the browser, you need internet, and you need a file system to store your files. And all your apps are essentially background processes that are running on a sandbox or a shell. So you need a sandbox to execute code, you need a file system, you need a browser, and you need a bunch of AI models to orchestrate all these different things together. That is essentially what computer is. So that AI can do whatever you do on a computer, except AI is the computer now. It basically does everything a human can on a computer. So it goes a level above Comet. Comet is one of the tools that computer has access to, but it has several other tools, including all the different AI models. And all of this is happening in parallel. And the most important thing, it works even as you sleep. It's always on. It lives on a server. Wow. It can run processes all the time. So this way you get a multiplier. Like computer can do your work even as you go to sleep, which means 24 hours, 24/7. And or the other way of thinking about it is you can work fewer days because you can, once you know exactly, you have full clarity of what your tasks are and you delegate to computer, it's going to do the work for you.
While the other companies are spending enormous amounts on infrastructure, is Perplexity somewhat free from that burden and doesn't relying on other companies' model pose a long-term risk?
We have pretty good relationships with all the model makers because there's a lot of technical respect for what we're doing here. Let me give you an example. On the day we launched Perplexity Computer, we got the first congratulatory note was sent to us from Anthropic. And then the previous days before we launched Computer, we were actually asking Google to increase our rate limits for Gemini models, and they approved it pretty quickly on short notice. And they were pretty happy to help us in the launch. OpenAI recently collaborated with us to launch a completely new voice mode for Comet, which almost feels like Jarvis. And then they congratulated us and worked together with us on that. There's a reason everybody wants to work with us, because the quality and craftsmanship in our products is very high. And we're very neutral in our orchestration. We do not have favorites. We just choose whatever is the best model for each purpose or task without any bias to any company. So we're like Switzerland. We're a neutral party. And people also respect Switzerland. Switzerland is known for craftsmanship, precision in how they do things. So that's exactly how Perplexity is too.
Perplexity rode the generative AI wave to stardom, but some say that the hype is fading, and as LLM era is going down, what is your strategy for the next 5 years?
Our position has only improved. Since the beginning of AI, we've focused on one single thing, which is a multi-model, model-agnostic orchestration. It can use all different models in service of one goal, accurate AI. It starts off with giving accurate answers. It branched out to give sophisticated answers to harder questions, messier questions, more complicated questions, deep research, which requires a lot of accuracy. And accuracy in AI is just only getting more important than what we predicted 4 years ago, because now you don't just want accuracy in a single answer, you want accuracy in every single step of the agent. That's why our position in the field has only been compounding on top of all the advantages we've built over the last 4 years. And we expect to keep advancing on our goals.
My last question is, what is your roadmap for the US market? Are you considering bold moves like acquiring Chrome and or IPO?
We are very focused on our business. We have all the products we need. Perplexity, Comet, and Computer are going to create a magical ecosystem of experiences we have. We're going to continue growing our distribution, continue growing our revenue, continue expanding further. And the answer to the IPO will just reveal itself as business metrics keep progressing.